Farbrengen today was not a long Farbrengen, approximately around 3:30, 20 to 4. Farbrengen was over and then was Mincha. We'll review briefly a short synopsis of the Farbrengen of this afternoon. The Rebbe began that today it is Shabbos. And next week we will be celebrating Rosh Hashanah, which is also on a Shabbos. So there's something in common right away between this Shabbos and next Shabbos, because they're both Shabbosim. And on the other hand, next week will be Rosh Hashanah. And regarding the inyan of Rosh Hashanah that comes out to be on a Shabbos, that the halacha is that we do not blow the shofar on Shabbos, but we blow the shofar instead on the second day. But the first day there's no shofar. I will make a shechayanu on the Yontif, make a shechayanu in Kiddush, but we do not make the shechayanu which we make on Tkiyah Shofar, that we first make on the second day. And there's a famous maimah from the Alter Rebbe L'Kutei Torah, where the Alter Rebbe explains the reason, how is it takeh that Yontif Shel Rosh Hashanah, that comes out to be on Shabbos, we do not blow the shofar. Truth is that go off the subject for a second, away from the Sikha, there are many mamorim from the Rabbeim, that whenever Rosh Hashanah comes out to be on the Shabbos, almost each time, the maimah which said by most of the Rabbeim would always deal with this concept, that a Yontif Shel Rosh Hashanah that comes out to be on Shabbos, we do not blow on shofar. And the question that how all these mamorim begin is basically the same question, and refers to the general beer which is given based on this maimah of the Maimah of the Alter Rebbe, which we just mentioned in L'Kutei Torah. In fact, the very famous Hemshech from the Rebbe Rashab of Taf Reish Samach Vav, a very famous and depth Chassidish Hemshech of Mamorim, which was said by the Rebbe Rashab in the year Taf Reish Samach Vav, also begins Yontif Shel Rosh Hashanah Shechol Yis B'Shabbos. If Yontif of Rosh Hashanah falls out on Shabbos, so the halacha is there is no blowing of shofar. So the question is a very strong and obvious question. The reason why we do not blow shofar, there's a reason for it. So the Gemara gives the reason that we're afraid perhaps there will be somebody that will not know how to blow the shofar well. So he will take the shofar and carry it to somebody to guide him how to blow shofar. So what will happen will be, because of blowing shofar, he will carry a shofar on Shabbos, and this is something which is prohibited. We're not allowed to carry, even because of blowing the shofar. Therefore the Chachamim have instituted that on Shabbos we do not blow shofar. So the question is a very strong question, a klotz kash as the expression goes. Tkiyah shofar is something so great, something so important. It's a mitzvah min ha-Torah. Besides it being a mitzvah min ha-Torah, there's so much meaning to Tkiyah shofar. Tkiyah shofar is something which is extremely meaningful. If we look into the in depth of the entire concept of Rosh Hashanah, the entire concept of Rosh Hashanah is that we crown HaKadosh Baruch Hu as a king upon us. The Rebbe mentioned today that Rabbeinu Sadi Goen writes that the procedure at crowning a king is that you blow the shofar. That's part of the procedure of Achtaras HaMelech. This is how it was an accepted fact many years ago. So how can we do away with something which is so major, so vital, and something which relates so strongly to the entire concept, what Rosh Hashanah stands for? Why? Because of somebody that may carry the shofar, may be ignorant, and he wouldn't know the halacha that we're not allowed to carry on Shabbos, and because of him we do not blow the shofar on Shabbos. The lengthy explanation which is given on this by the Alter Rebbe L'Kutei Torah, whereby the Alter Rebbe brings out that Shabbos is so great, and Shabbos is so outstanding, that the same ruchniistic accomplishment that we achieve by blowing the shofar, the very same, he continues, we achieve by not blowing the shofar. And we get it automatically due to the fact that it is Shabbos. Shabbos gives us that much. It gives the same as blowing the shofar. So today the Farbrengen, the Rebbe goes a step further based on this. The Rebbe says, however, there's a halacha, there's an additional halacha. The additional halacha is that in the Beis HaMikdash they did blow the shofar. So if there's no need to blow shofar, and we say that everything is taken care of, so why in the Beis HaMikdash they did blow? Not only that, the halacha is that wherever there was the bezdin smuchen, a bezdin smuchen means a bezdin that has smicha going back, tracing back all the way back to Moshe Rabbeinu. They would also blow the shofar on Shabbos. In fact, the Rebbe mentions that the times of the Rif was one of the Rishonim, Rabbi Yitzchak Alfasi. His bezdin was a bezdin, a smuchen, that each member in the bezdin had smicha, and they were able to trace back their smicha all the way back to Moshe Rabbeinu. And in the bezdin of the Rif, they blew the shofar on Shabbos. So in Manashach, if blowing shofar is not needed on Shabbos, because it is accomplished, whatever the shofar can accomplish, Shabbos accomplishes for us. If so, the question is, why do we find that in the Beis HaMikdash they did blow the shofar, or a bezdin smuchen as well also blew the shofar? And here the Rebbe today went into a lengthy explanation, explaining in the first sikha various levels of bittul, of a person, how he's not feeling himself and he's totally dedicated to the Rebishter. Citing the expression Eved Melech Melech. A servant to a Melech is considered like part of the Melech. Why? Because one who is a servant to a Melech really has no feeling of his own. Therefore, what does he feel? What is his entire being? What is his entire existence? His entire existence is the fact that he's serving the Melech. Other than that, he for himself, as the Chassidish expression goes, he for himself is no mitzias. He is no being in his own. But on the other hand, there is still an Eved, and we say the Eved is stuck in no mitzias in itself. The Eved is totally dedicated to his master. And here the Rebbe is comparing it to an expression which is often quoted in Chassidus, talking about the neshama. Chassidus quotes this expression that the neshama has 5 titles. Chamisha shemois nikru ulah. There are 5 titles, there are 5 names that are given to the neshama. Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Chai, Yechida, as we all know. And as it's always explained in Chassidus, Yechida is the very highest level of the neshama. The expression goes, Yechida liyachtoch. The level of Yechida to become totally united, Malashon Yichud, Malashon singled out together with the Rebbeinu Shmuel. The highest level in Neshama is the level of Yechida Sheben Neshama. But how does the expression go? Chamisha shemois nikru ulo. She, the Neshama, has 5 names. In other words, there are 5 names that she is called with, but there's still the she. There is still the law, the neshama itself, which is higher than being expressed and identified in any type of a name. How high the name Yechida is and what higher the madrege it is, there is still a yet higher madrege that does not lend itself to be identified, to be spelled out in any type of name or title. Same continues the Rebbe when we're talking about various levels in bittul, levels in dedication. There is what we are explaining, Eved Melech Melech, or furthermore, there's an expression that a person worked out his body so well that when it comes to Moedim, Mother uses the expression Min nafshei kokora. He bows himself automatically. Min nafshei, from zich allein, kokora, he is bowing down. Why? Because his body is worked out so well that there's no need for him to pay attention that now we're up to Moedim, we have to bow when we say Moedim Anachnu Loch. Min nafshei kokora. He's bowing automatically from zich allein. However, there is a yet higher madrege in bittul. There's this madrege in bittul where we don't even feel any being whatsoever. We don't feel any existence whatsoever. And this is, as the Rebbe continues, this is the level of Shabbos. The level of Shabbos, before, what's the difference between Yontav and Shabbos? Yontav is something, Yisrael inu dikachinu lizmanim. Yidden are the ones that set Yom Tovim. How is a Yom Tov set? By a Beis Din. The Beis Din sets the calendar. Jewish calendar was set by Beis Din, and based on the calendar, that is how we have the Yom Tovim. Or in the times when the calendar was set, when two witnesses came and said they saw the new moon, so it was totally up to it. Now we are working on a fixed calendar, but again, it's also made durch Yidden. Yisrael inu de kachinu lezmanim. It's always Yidden that are mekadesh the zmanim. However, Shabbos is by itself. Shabbos is mikadsha v'kaimo. Regardless, we always know the 7th day is always Shabbos. The main of this institution of Shabbos brings out such a high level of bittul that there's no feeling of anybody whatsoever. Therefore, there is no need to blow on shofar on Shabbos, because the mere fact somebody blowing a shofar, how dedicated is somebody is, and how bitteldik to somebody is, there's still a feeling of a somebody. And therefore, what Shabbos introduces is, Shabbos puts everybody aside. Everybody is totally in a complete bittel, and therefore there's no need to blow the shofar on Shabbos. It seems that the way the Rebbe answered the question, why did they blow in the Beis HaMikdash on Shabbos, he didn't get back to answer it, but the way other people bringing it out this afternoon is that the bittul to the Eibishter, which was in the Beis HaMikdash, was a yet higher bittul, and not the pshat that a person is blowing the shofar. There it's like an act of the Eibishter, it's like an act of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That is, he doesn't feel himself, he himself is not being felt in any shape whatsoever. I'm a blostach, I just felt to blow. Wer blost? The Eibishter blost. He is totally not in existence. As the Rebbe is speaking the Sikha, the Rebbe is already at the end of the Sikha, and how he's bringing out the highest levels of bittul, how a person does not even feel himself whatsoever. The Rebbe says, so what are we up to, that there's really nothing in its existence, because everyone and everything is totally in a bittul, totally given away, total dedication. So the Rebbe says, so what is the only thing in existence? The only thing that is in existence, he says, is Chassidim and the concept of Afatzas HaMayonis. What the obligation of Chassidim is, and what is our responsibility to make sure that we spread the wellsprings of Chassidus, and this will lead to the coming of Mashiach. And then, and again, the Rebbe is concluding this, the Rebbe always ends the Sichas, that everything would be Lamata, the Poel Mamish, that's the usual ending. So here the Rebbe is applying the same sentence, and he's saying that being that we're talking in all these high levels of bittles, he says, it's Hecher, higher than Mamish, higher than all these things, a complete, total giveaway. But again, the only thing that we do have, so we have Chassidim, and we have what the obligation of Chassidim is, Hafatzas HaMayonis. Rebbe is continuing in the second Sikha that this coming Friday, Erev Rosh Hashanah, will be 200 years since the birthday of the Tzemach Tzedek. Tzemach Tzedek was born on Erev Rosh Hashanah in the year Tov Kuf Mem Tes, and now, when we will be having Erev Rosh Hashanah of the year Tov Shin Nun, but it's Chav Tes Elul, Tov Shin Mem Tes, it is 200 years since the birthday of the Tzemach Tzedek. And the Rebbe says we really have to find the proper and appropriate way how to celebrate it, and to look for ways how to celebrate it. The Rebbe says we can even begin on Shabbos, because we know we take care of public matters on Shabbos, Mefakchen al Tzolchei Tzibur on Shabbos. So therefore, even on Shabbos, we can start planning how to celebrate it. Naturally, the Rebbe says the day to celebrate it, the time to celebrate it is a time when we are busy with many other things as well. It's a Friday, and it's a Friday that it's Erev Rosh Hashanah, and it's Erev Shabbos, and we will be involved. We have to start off the day right away with saying Slichas on Erev Rosh Hashanah, as the Minig Yisrael is. So there are many, many things which we will have on our minds when it comes to Friday, when it comes to the day of celebrating the birthday of the Tzemach Tzedek. But nonetheless, it's something which we have to make sure that it is celebrated properly. Here the Rebbe says that during this year, which was the 200th year of the birthday of the Tzemach Tzedek, we got used to it, that everything that was printed has on the front page that it's the 200th year of the birthday of the Tzemach Tzedek. So the question is, what are we going to do next year? It says, we can't write it, because we can't write it. It's not the 200th year of the birthday of Tzemach Tzedek anymore. On the other hand, we used to mention the Tzemach Tzedek on everything which was printed, and now not to mention the Tzemach Tzedek is also something which is very strange. We used to refer to him constantly. How can we not refer to him from here and after? So this is the conclusion to it. To solve this problem, holding it Tzemach Tzedek. Tzemach Tzedek, reason why he named the Svelem Tzemach Tzedek, because Tzemach Tzedek is equivalent in numeric value in Gematria to his name. The name of the Tzemach Tzedek was Rabbi Menachem Mendel. No? Didn't hear this. Add up Menachem Mendel and add up Tzemach Tzedek, you will get the same total. Also, the Indian of the Tzemach Tzedek, he has a very strong shaykhus to the Indian of Geula. First of all, regarding Tzemach, Chazal say that the name of Mashiach will be Tzemach. Regarding the Indian of Menachem, we have an interesting thing. We have the month of Av. The month of Av, that is when we have the day of Tisha B'Av, the morning day and the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash, the destruction of Yerushalayim. How is that month called? That month is called Menachem Av. Right away to remind us that there will be a Nechama, there will be a Geula from this Indian, from this undesirable Indian that took place in the middle of that month on Tisha B'Av. So Mamela, Indian of Tzemach Tzedek relates strongly to the Geula. His first name is a Hebrew name, Menachem. Second name is a name which is, it's not a Hebrew name, but it's also a name that has a shaykhus, in other words, to the Indian of Golos, because it's not a Hebrew name. And what will be the Indian of the Tzemach Tzedek? So he has a shaykhus to Geula. So we'll have Geula. And Geula will be Kitzav Harananu Sheikh Neyafa, all the Sheikh Neyafa will rise once Mashiach comes. So then this will happen immediately. So together with the Tzemach Tzedek's rising, he will also solve us this problem, what we had to do in the future, how we had to refer on publications where we no longer can write that it's 200 years from his birthday. So what should we do? But again, the Rebbe urged very strongly that we shall utilize properly the celebration of the Tzemach Tzedek's birthday. Tzemach Tzedek was the father of the one who continued leadership after the Tzemach Tzedek, was the one, Rabbi Marash, Tzemach Tzedek's son, Dilakatchila Ariba. But again, to celebrate the Tzemach Tzedek's birthday in a proper way, in a suitable way, the way it is fitting for such a day and for such an inyan. Then the Rebbe continued that today, Chav Gimel Elul was the yortzeit of the Rebbe's Zayde. In fact, the Rebbe said Kaddish this Shabbos, if we noticed. In other words, the Rebbe's mother's father, Reb Meir Shleima, his yortzeit is Chav Gimel Elul. The Rebbe said that his father was, those days it was called, his grandfather was a Zitzer by the Rebbe Marash, the Yoshev by the Rebbe Marash. He was sitting in the Rebbe Marash Besmedrash and learning for quite a period of time. And then later he became a Rav in a city. It was the Rav in Nikolaev, which was a famous Chassidish city where he was involved in paskening many shilas and leading the city in many unique and unusual type of situations and shilas that came up. And Reb Meir Shleima handled all this and took care of all these matters. And here the Rebbe referred to the name of his Zayden. Regarding the name Meir, says the Rebbe, it reminds us of Reb Meir the sage, Reb Meir the Tank. We're talking about Reb Meir. We find two inyanim. On one hand, they're like two inyanim that bring out the greatness of Reb Meir. On one side, the Gemara tells us that Chachomim lo yodu l'soif daita shel Reb Meir. The Chachamim were really not able to understand and to dwell into the in-depth das, the in-depth wisdom of Reb Meir. So this shows us the greatness of Reb Meir. On the other hand, we see that Stam Mishnah Reb Meir, if there is no Tana mentioned in the Mishnah, Whose opinion is it? It's Reb Meir's opinion. And we know that how do we adopt halacha? Halacha is always Kestam Mishnah. So we see right away that what is, on one hand, we were not able to have any access to his greatness, and on the other hand, he has a shaykhus to everyone. How does he have a shaykhus to everyone? Because halacha is paskin like him, so that means that everybody has a shaykhus to him, because we all follow his piskei halacha. That's the Indian of Meir. Shloima, who at the tight shop, Shloima right away reminds us on a certain level of shleimus, of completeness. Whole and complete. When we're talking about a person there are people, says the Rebbe, that have one name. There are those that have the name Meir. There are those that have the name Shloima. But here we're talking about a combination of both names. Side the name Meir and side the name Shloima. The Meir, when we have a combination of both names, brings out yet greater in Yonah. Here the Rebbe compared it to an Indian which the Rebbe spoke a while ago. We find in the Rambam talks how greatness of being associated with the knowledge of godliness, of Gettlichkeit, of a course. So the Rambam writes about it in two places. He writes about it in Hilchas Shuvah, and he writes about it at the very, very end of the Rambam in Hilchas Malachim L'Chameseim. In fact, that's what the Rambam closes with. And when the Rambam writes about it in Hilchas Malachim, there he describes what the world will be like when Mashiach will come. There he brings out, quotes the pasuk, Umola Oretz Deis Hashem, Kamayim Layom Mechasim. The world will become full with knowledge of Hashem, Kamayim Layom Mechasim. Just like water covers the ocean. In Hilchas Shuvah, the Rambam also talks what a person should strive to when he does Shuvah. He should reach to the level of Umola Oretz Deis Hashem, but does not bring the words Kamayim Layom Mechasim. And we must say that everything by the Rambam is accurate. Why is it that in Hilchas Shuvah he does not bring the words Kamayim Layom Mechasim, as opposed to Hilchas Malachim he does bring out Kamayim Layom Mechasim? So the Rebbe spoke about it. It was within this year. I refer to it today again. When the Rambam is talking what the world will be like when Mashiach will come, but naturally it will be at a much higher level. So then, the Mola Ha'oretz Deis Hashem will be at what level? At a level of Kamayim Layom Mechasim. However, what a person reaches to, and when we're talking in Hilchas Shuvah, he can reach to a level of a Mola Ha'oretz Deis Hashem, but it should be to such an extent that Kamayim Layom Mechasim, we're not up to that yet. So bringing out today the Indian of Lo Yodu Chachamim L'Seif Daito Shel Rab Meir, that the Chachamim were not able to really get into the in-depth Seif Daito of Rab Meir. The Rebbe is comparing this, just drawing it as a parallel to the Indian when we're talking what the world will be full of wisdom and godliness. Kamayim Layom Mechasim. Now, we have no access to this level of Kamayim Layom Mechasim. The same way, the Chachamim did not have an access to understand the in-depth opinion, the in-depth daya, the in-depth wisdom, the in-depth understanding of Torah, like Rab Meir understood it. So this also has a shaykhus to this week's Seder. Today's Seder is Nitzavim-Vayelech. Rebbe spoke about it during the week when he spoke, and in previous years, and spoke about it today as well. Nitzavim and Vayelech are obviously two separate concepts. Nitzavim is a type to stand very firm. The Rebbe always keeps on quoting Nitzav-Melech. What's the type Vayelech? To keep on going. So obviously we're talking about two opposites. On one hand it's Nitzavim, and on the other hand it's Vayelech. So the Rebbe says that when we're Nitzavim and Vayelech are combined, it demands from the Yid both avodas. There are two areas of avodah. There's an area of avodah of Nitzavim. In other words, it means whatever we are involved in, whatever we are doing, we should stand firmly and do it properly to the fullest extent that we can do it. But that's not enough. On top of whatever we are doing in Nitzavim, Torah demands from Me'id as Nitzavim-Vayelech. We should constantly get involved and spread out and more in Yonim and yet more in Yonim to keep on going Mechayel and Chayel higher and higher. We finished the Farbrengen that today we are finishing the cycle of reciting Pirkei Avos every Shabbos afternoon, which is something which we did throughout the entire summer months from Pesach until Rosh Hashanah, not only from Pesach to Shavuos, but with Alter Rebbe writes, Yesh Ne'egin, to say it throughout the entire summer. And according to that, we will be finishing Pirkei Avos today by saying today the two Prokim of Perik Hamishi and Perik Shishi. And it's extremely suitable to the days which we are in. How does Perik Hamishi begin? Ba'asara Mamoris Nivra Olam, how the Rebbe created the world. When did the Rebbe create the world? 25 days in the month of Elul. And today is Chav Gimel, 2 more days, that's the day of creation. And right afterwards, 6 days later, follows the day when the Rebbe created man, which was the complete intention of creating the world, is so that the Rebbe should later create Adam Arishan. And how does Pirkei Avos finishes? The end of the 6th Perik brings out Hashem Yimleich Lo'ilam Voed, that the eternity of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And it is brought out in an expression not only Hashem Melech, but Hashem Yimleich, a future expression, that the ruling of HaKadosh Baruch Hu on this world is something which will be eternal. So on one hand we have the 5th Perek, which discusses the greatness of the Asara Mamoros, and then it continues, the Rebbe could have even created the world with one Maimah, with one quotation. There was no need for 10 quotations. But as Pirkei Avos continues, and it's explained to Chassidus, what is really greater? Are the 10 quotations greater, or this one quotation that he could have created with, is that really greater? But regardless, however the Inyanim are explained to Chassidus, and as we conclude the Perik Shishi, Hashem Yimlech Lo'ilam Voed, which brings out the Rebbe's rulership, the Rebbe's kingdom, the Rebbe's control of the entire world, which this would lead to the coming of Mashiach. And then when Mashiach will come, we will have Torah Chadasha Me'iti Teitzei, then we will be able to learn all the new revelations of Torah which will be given to us through Mashiach. A gute Woche and a ksiva v'chsima teva.